When he came back out of the house, he started.
We need to call the police.
The routine day in February takes a terrible turn when a custody exchange ends with an Austin Peay State University student dead.
Now her family says justice must be served. The shooting happened in Madison County, about 2 hours from the Austin Peay campus in Clarksville.
How does a young 22-year-old woman get shot to death 2 months ago today and nobody knows about it? You know, so who does this man know that he can shoot and kill a young mother, keep her baby, and there were 2 other females and a 6-month-old in the car. He hadn't been charged with nothing in 2 months.
And they won't tell us anything about the baby. You know, that's our number one concern right now is having Chancellor home and safe. You know, and we feel like that he's in danger because as far as we know, he killed the mom, so who's to say he won't harm her child?
You hurt me. Y'all hurt me with this. And she didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve to be shot like that. And I just want, I don't know what to say. I just want some justice. I don't know what justice is. But I just want some, you know, because she's supposed to be with me. I want some closure.
On February 20th, 2023, a college student drove 2 hours to her baby daddy's place to pick up her son. It was supposed to be his custody day, but he called saying he couldn't keep him, so she made the drive. When she got there, his dad answered the door. But what happened in the next few minutes was something she wasn't prepared for. Before we get too deep, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you find value in these discussions. Tyeasha Kataria Starks was born on May 20th, 2001, in Brownsville, Tennessee. Her parents, Tarsha Harris and Philip Starks, raised her and her brother in a close family. Tyeasha loved singing, dancing, cheering, and just being around people she cared about. When she got to Haywood High School, she threw herself into everything. She was a basketball cheerleader for the Haywood Tomcats, joined the Beta Club, was in the Spanish Club, played softball, and was even on the exclusive dance team. And in 2018, she graduated with honors. After high school, Tyeasha enrolled at Austin Peay State University. She was majoring in biology because she wanted to become a dentist. While she was at Austin Peay, Tyeasha met Bryce Currie. He was a student too, working toward his own degree. At first, things between them seemed good. Both of them were focused on school and had big plans for their futures. So they started a relationship, and then Tyeasha got pregnant. On January 25th, 2022, she gave birth to her son, Tylus Currie. Tyeasha had to take time off from school during her pregnancy, so she ended up missing almost an entire semester, but she was determined to get back on track. Now, the thing is, after Tylus was born, the relationship between Tyeasha and Bryce started falling apart. The arguments began almost immediately, as they couldn't agree on how to raise him and work with their schedules. They couldn't agree on much of anything, and it became clear pretty quickly that living together wasn't going to work. So they split up and worked out a custody arrangement instead. But Tyeasha didn't let any of this stop her. She got back into school, determined to finish her biology degree. She also started her own business called Ties Extensions, and she was working as a pharmacy technician at Walgreens, juggling college, a business, a job, and being a mother. They had an agreement that Bryce would have Tylus from Monday through Wednesday, then Tyeasha would have him Thursday through Sunday. Now Tyeasha lived in Brownsville with her family, which was about 20 minutes from Jackson, where Bryce stayed. Bryce was living with his parents, Chelsea Currie and Tylus Currie, at their house on Harpeth Drive. As a result of this arrangement, the tensions between Tyeasha and Bryce's family was building. According to reports, Bryce had a history of being difficult. He would allegedly call her names, insult her family, and make things harder than they needed to be. That's part of why she left him in the first place. But even after the split, the drama didn't stop. Bryce would call her at the last minute to change plans. He'd wait until she was already in class to say he couldn't keep Tylus. It became a pattern, and it put Tyeasha in impossible situations because she'd already missed an entire semester when she was pregnant, so she couldn't afford to keep missing classes now, especially as she was so close to graduating. And then there was Bryce's parents, especially his mother, Chelsea. During phone calls, Chelsea would reportedly say harsh and disrespectful things to Tyeasha. Tylus Currie, Bryce's father, usually stayed out of the direct confrontations, but his presence was felt. As a result, Tyeasha started feeling uneasy about going to that house. Still, she had to maintain some kind of relationship with Bryce's family for her son's sake. On Monday, February 20th, 2023, Tyeasha got Tanston ready like she always did. She drove him to Bryce's house in Jackson, dropped him off, and then made that 2-hour drive to Clarksville for her classes at Austin P. Soon after, Bryce called saying that he couldn't keep Tanston the next day because he had classes of his own, so he needed Tyeasha to come back and get him or find someone else to watch the baby. Remember, they had an agreement that Bryce would have Tanston from Mondays through Wednesdays. Tyeasha was frustrated, so she called her mother, Taiisha, to see if she could go pick up Tanston instead, but Taiisha was at work and couldn't leave. So Tyeasha packed up her things, left campus, and started the drive back. Her close friend, Ariana, offered to ride with her, so the two of them got in Tyeasha's car and started driving toward Jackson. When they got into town, they picked up another friend named Nadia, who lived near the Currie family's house. Tyeasha had asked Nadia to come along specifically because she wanted someone to record the interaction. Nadia brought a stun device along and gave it to Tyeasha just in case Bryce tried something. Because they had been getting threatening phone calls earlier that morning from the Currie family, Tyeasha felt like she needed protection. Around 6 p.m., the three of them pull up to the house on Harpeth Drive. Ariana and Nadia stayed in the car, while Tyeasha put the stun device in her pocket and walked up to the front door. She knocked on the door and waited for a long time before someone came to the door. But it wasn't Bryce. It was his father, Tylus Currie. Tyeasha stepped back off the porch into the yard. Tylus said something to her, and they started arguing. Tylus wasn't handing over her son. Instead, he went back inside the house. Shortly after, he came back to the door, but this time he had a weapon. According to Nadia and Ariana, who were both watching from the car, Tylus Currie stepped back outside and fired 5 times. Despite being hit, Tyeasha somehow managed to turn around and make it back to her car. She got into the driver's seat and started driving, trying to get to a hospital, but she only made it a few hundred yards before the car veered off the road and crashed into a neighbor's mailbox. 911 calls were made, and by the time deputies from the Madison County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene, it was around 6:30 p.m. They found Tyeasha's car crashed into the mailbox.
I'm upset because my daughter was murdered. Senseless killing.
It was February 20th when Tyeasha showed up at this Jackson home to pick up her 1-year-old son from his father. Harris says the father's parents lived here at the time, and things had already been tense between all of them.
He knew the days that he was supposed to be keeping my grandson. My daughter had just dropped him off that Monday morning. He called her in an irate state, stating that he was not going to be able to keep my grandson, and he knew that she was in class. So she went back to get her baby.
When Tyeasha came to this house, she reportedly went to that front door and knocked. Nadia Blockett was in the car waiting on Tyeasha when she says there was an argument.
She told him shut the up. Then she was in the yard and he was at his door. He never stepped on the porch. And so when she said that, he got mad and the door had shut.
The witness admits she handed Tyeasha a stun gun to take with her when she first got out of the car.
For protection, because they were talking earlier that morning, they was already calling her and threatening her.
She says the young mother never pulled the stun gun. Tyeasha died a few doors down as she was trying to drive away.
For them to have a gun, I feel like that was all planned. They did not have to do this to my daughter.
The police separated Ariana and Nadia and started questioning them. But instead of treating them as witnesses, the deputies reportedly questioned them as suspects. Madison County Sheriff Julian Weiser confirmed that the incident appeared to be domestic related. He said a disturbance had occurred at the residence between Tyeasha and the people who lived there.
We spoke to a couple neighbors here in the area, and one of them gives us her story from her perspective.
The gentleman across the street here said that somebody had been shot. When my husband went over to check on the lady that had gotten shot in the car, he said that there was 2 young ladies in the car and a baby in an infant seat in the back seat. So it was just horrible.
3 days after Tyeasha's passing, on February 23, 2023, the Sheriff's Office released an official statement. They said witnesses corroborated that Tyeasha arrived with a stun device and was actively arcing it when the incident occurred. As a result, the person responsible was not identified since no formal charges were being filed. The case was turned over to the district attorney's office. But Ariana and Nadia, the two friends who were in the car, witnessed everything and had a completely different account. They said Tyeasha never pulled out the stun device. It stayed in her pocket the entire time, and she reportedly never threatened Tylus. Nadia also explained why she gave Tyeasha the stun device in the first place. She said it was for protection because earlier that morning, Bryce and his family had been calling Tyeasha and threatening her. Tyeasha's family couldn't understand it. She had gone to pick up her child and ended up losing her life, and the man responsible wasn't being charged. After Tyeasha passed away, Tanston stayed with Bryce and his family. Child Protective Services had been contacted, but they reportedly never followed up with Tyeasha's mother. Philip Starks, Tyeasha's father, was devastated. He wanted to know why no one had been arrested and spoke about wanting justice.
And they won't tell us anything about the baby. You know, that's our number one concern right now is having Tanston home and safe. You know, and we feel like that he's in danger because as far as we know, he killed the mom, so who's to say he won't harm her child?
You hurt me. Y'all hurt me with this. And she didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve to be shot like that. And I just want, I don't know what to say. I just want some justice. I don't know what justice is. But I just want some, you know, because she's supposed to be with me. I want some closure.
So we're gonna fight for her. It's not over by a long shot. We won't stop until we get justice. And anybody that has information, we want them to come forward, you know. Just put themselves in our shoes, and they would want somebody to come and tell, you know, what happened to their daughter, their son, no matter who it is. And so we want justice.
By late April 2023, the Madison County District Attorney still hadn't made a decision on whether to file charges. The sheriff's office had turned over all their findings, but said the case was still under review. That's when Tyeasha Harris decided to show up at the state office building in Jackson, Tennessee, demanding answers. They also went to the county mayor's office, where they got to speak with Jackson City Mayor Scott Conger, who admitted he had no authority over the DA's office or the sheriff's department, but said he would ask questions. The family's frustration was building because no one had been charged, and the Currie family had taken Tanston and relocated to Texas shortly after Tyeasha passed. But here's the thing. Bryce had called Tyeasha back to Jackson because he allegedly couldn't keep Tanston for one day due to classes. But suddenly, he had the time and resources to move to an entirely different state and keep Tanston full-time. Tyeasha's mother, Tyeasha, made a public post about this, clearly stating her frustration about the entire situation. She wrote, "I'm really curious as to how you've been able to go back and forth to school while keeping Tanston, but that was the whole reason for calling Tyeasha to come get him. Make it make sense. You came down here to attend the graduation Saturday, but couldn't let me see Tanston? What harm would it have been for you to let me see the only thing I have left of my daughter? How is it possible that you can do online school or whatever it took for you to graduate, and that was the whole issue from the jump? You gave Tyeasha so much hassle about keeping him and even rushing me to pick him up when you were supposed to keep him. You robbed my daughter from participating in graduation while you further your future. There's something wrong with that picture. You didn't want to step up and be a father, but now you can find a way to get so much done, all while keeping Tanston." Tyeasha went 4 months without seeing her grandson. Then after months of legal back and forth, Bryce's family finally agreed to let Tyeasha see Tanston, just for a visit. But for Tyeasha, it meant everything. She posted about it and was overjoyed, calling it a sign that things would work out. On May 21st, 2023, which would have been Tyeasha's 23rd birthday, her loved ones gathered to celebrate her. They held a memorial, honored the young woman who should have been there blowing out candles, surrounded by her son, and planning her graduation that December. In late July, Tyeasha made a detailed post. She wanted people to understand the full picture of what had been happening prior to the incident and laid out everything she had been holding in. She wrote, "In one day, I lost my daughter and grandson. My whole life changed. Tyeasha and Bryce were young and had a baby. They argued and had many disagreements. Sometimes the grandparents were right in the middle of those disagreements. So this argument was no different than any of the other arguments about my grandson. I do not believe that this family believed that my daughter was going to cause them harm or that their lives were endangered. They knew her. Tylus came out of the house in rage against my daughter. His wife was screaming and trying to stop him. I know by law that she doesn't have to testify against her husband. But what about by God? How can they say they love my grandson, knowing Tylus hurt his mother over words? He intervened in something that had nothing to do with him. This was an arrangement between Bryce, me, and Taiisha. And Bryce knew it the whole time. It's Bryce that manipulated the whole situation. My grandson is being forced to bond with him, and the people who are helping cover it up as if they didn't do anything. How is that right? They should have looked at my daughter as a child the same way I viewed Bryce. If Bryce came to my house and caused problems, I'm calling the police. I would have him arrested. I would never wish harm against him. Why? Because I love Tanston too much. They don't love him because my daughter would still be here. He has never felt threatened by my daughter. He was angry at her. My grandson has to grow up without a mother. What's going to happen the next time he loses control? They are complaining to the police that people are threatening them. Why would I harm them? And they have my grandson? They have been calling and making these threats to build their alibis, not me and my family. They are doing all of this because of the decision Tylus made. An argument or disagreement about picking up a baby should not end that way. There was no fighting, touching, shoving, nothing. Just words exchanged. How is my grandson going to feel when he grows up? The love he should have had for my grandson should have stopped him from doing what he did to my daughter, but it didn't.
That post laid bare the family's belief that this wasn't self-defense. They believe it was built up rage and anger. The case technically still remains open. The Madison County District Attorney's Office says it is still under investigation, but no charges have been filed yet. The family continues to fight. They continue to share Tyeasha's story because they refuse to let her be forgotten. That audio recording captured her last words. Just a young mother trying to get through an uncomfortable situation so she could take her baby home. I hope these stories help you recognize warning signs and encourage you to seek help or offer support before it's too late. I'll see you in the next episode of Crime of Passion. Thank you for watching.
be a hard shit for just swallow. I'm gonna listen. Listen, my baby, I love him. I still love him. I love him. I always love him. You know, sometimes we didn't see that so much alike. And I'm not really trying to wish that, you know, trying to get about me on my heart. I thank God for my daughter. Because I just love her. She know I love her. And I thank God for that. We talked about it before this happened. And,
I'm gonna miss her. Hit me up saying, you should buy your favorite East lunch today. Growing up, she reminded me of like a Sour Patch, because she would be sour and then she would be sweet. So it'd be hard to tell her no when she used to ask to look at my phone and take a picture. Next thing I know, she all of my messages, telling all my things. And that was just Tyeasha. And I love her today, man. I just wanted to get up here because she know I love her, so I just wanted to get out of my comfort zone and tell her that in front of everybody.
Call her granddad at least once every week. If there was a need. Sometimes she didn't want to go to mom, she would call her granddad because she knew that he was coming to her rescue. Yeah. She will be missed. I feel so